So hello guys, welcome back to part 3 and the final part of this Blood, Sweat and Tears on Catalunya 1K special 100% race with me, Matt Ruda, still in the commentary box. What's up?
Not much. I'm impressed you were able to get all that in there in one sentence. It's rather impressive there.
I don't think I even was breathing. And by the way, I haven't introduced you correctly. You are, as I understand, the next Adrian Newey, right?
I won't quite set my aspirations that high, but one can only hope. One can only hope.
Indeed, so make sure to follow at Agent Mulder 95. It is right if you want all access passes
actually.
to
Agent Mulder 5.
Agent Mulder 5. If you want all access passes once he gets into F1, you better suck up to this dude. He's gonna be the next Newey, I'm telling you. So of course you guys are waiting for part 3 and see what kind of action we got in store. I know it was more like a podcast the first 2 episodes, but here you're gonna see a lot of on-track action. Let me guarantee you. So Matt, you ready to get going?
I am ready indeed. Let's get to this.
All right, in 3, 2, 1, go. So that's me exiting the pits. You saw the little incident when I bashed up my front wing, so that lets a couple of guys through. Like these guys wouldn't have gone through if I didn't make that mistake. But boom, dive bomb down the inside. There you go, Truly.
Showing him where he can start making a Truly train right behind you.
Yep, indeed, Truly. I am not fucking around here, man. You're not going to get me stuck behind you. So, yeah, I got 24 laps. To work some magic, because as you can see, I'm in P19. Ouch.
That's pretty much how all my Catalunya races go. It might be solid in the beginning, but then at the end, it just all falls apart. But seeing as you have proven time and time again to be a better driver than I ever am, let's see how this goes.
What was your prediction, actually, for my finishing spot? I don't remember.
My prediction was P4.
P4. Oh, interesting. Yeah, maybe. As you can see, someone has been making a Truly train for me. And there we go. Felipe, I'm faster than you! But didn't hear it quite yet. I'm going to have to ask Rob to, repeat that. So there we go, Felipe. Oh, yeah. On the inside. Pretty good racing, actually, there. And I squeeze him out.
Indeed, going on his inside. He could have just waited a few more laps and he would have just spun it and said, fuck this shit, and left his car. So,
yeah. But I'm on a mission here, I'm on a mission. The good thing is I have a little, it's not really a Truly train, but the guys in front are pretty close together. So, it might help me. And here we're going for the move on our glass boy.
Slicing your way past Soodle, right on the back of Buemi. Who hasn't been doing too hot. None of the Torosos have, but,
Well, Buemi's been doing okay. It's Alguersuari who's really been struggling. I think he's been out-qualified. Ooh, they're looking on the inside. I think he's been out-qualified 6-1, Alguersuari. And yeah, he finished in front of him last race, but that was because he had a full wet setup because he botched up his qualifying, didn't get out of Q3. And so they just started him from the pit lane without much penalty. So I think Alguersuari needs to really be careful because I go way wide here.
Interesting line shows there.
Yeah, I just messed that up. Actually, Buemi was blocking my view on the apex, but there, another dive bomb.
My word. Yeah, yep, that's definitely how you do it. Take note, Hamilton.
Yep. Well, the thing is, at this point, I have the fresh options, so now I'm back to running close to my qualifying laps. So I'm actually faster than the AI at this point in the game, which is, insane. You need to have the patience to not put it in the wall for 44 laps, but it's so gratifying at this point when you're catching and passing AIs left and right. So I'm from P19 up to P16 already. So that's not too shabby.
And if you look over there on the timing board, Kovalainen is leading the race. So
yeah.
Somebody definitely took some lessons from Häkkinen and is all the way up in P1.
Yeah, I think Kovy still has to pit though. He's probably still on his primes because Vettel was right behind him, and Kovalainen clearly hadn't pitted yet, so I think he still has to pit here. But now we're behind the Hulk, the guy who's really pushing to get Soetel's seat. But yeah, his FP1 crash here today won't help him that much to accomplish that. But he's been strong throughout in FP1. This was really his first mistake. And it was a costly one, true, but yeah.
Yep.
Oh, talk about, we're going to outbreak him here again. And that was a definite change of line. I call for weaving against Hulkenberg. Penalty!
Indeed, but as we know in F1 2010, the penalty system is only there to screw you over, not everyone else.
Yes, you only ever get fucked up as the player. You know, someone brake tests you or whatever, the guy behind will always get the penalty in that case. Or in some cases, when someone slams into the back of you without braking, you get a penalty for illegal blocking. It's a very clever replay system, penalty system in F1 2010, that's for sure. And there's a little fight going on up front here with Kubica against, it looks to be a Sauber. Might be good old Kamikaze Kamui.
I don't know. The timing screen says Button, but we all know how reliable that thing is.
Well, I am Button. I am Button.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I tend to forget I'm used to going up there and seeing Steve or Villain or whatever your name is on that day.
It's Herp McDurp.
Well, I just had my own Herp McDurp moment right then, so it's Della Rosa.
Yeah, and we're taking him round the outside on the chicane. That's a very tricky move, and I decided against it because I would have ended up in the gravel. So I'm just going to try and get him here in the next corner. So yeah, 20 laps to go, P15, but catching people left and right, making one spot per race. Another dive bomb almost into the back of him. That was close.
Need a little too close to call there, but then again, hey, it got you up to P14, P13, Kubica's on the way.
Yeah,
take him maybe in the chicane, who knows?
It's a tricky overtaking spot, but
maybe
around the outside.
On the outside. Now, will you spin? No. Impressive. Most people spin out on that track, at least in the Xbox version. Every lap, there's somebody in the wall online going around that corner. So, nicely held there. Nicely held.
Yeah, I gotta be careful, that's for sure. Now we got a little gap to our good friend Vittantonio Liuzzi, who out of sheer desperation got that HRT drive. Let's look at the backfield for a second. I mean, HRT are doing well in Canada, but I think they're jumping the gun a bit, saying they've, gotten ahead of Virgin. Because, I mean, Canada was a crazy race. And now they're all of a sudden saying, we're on pace with the Virgins. I doubt that. I want to see it in Valencia. They based themselves on one race, which was pretty much a lottery with safety cars and shit. And Virgin have said themselves that they kind of just tested out stuff with D'Ambrosio, when, putting him on tires and stuff and trying to get Timo into a good position. But it's pretty strange that Timo didn't get past Vittantonio.
The biggest thing that with HRT that one of the reasons, if you've ever seen any of my posts on HRT, they're not generally very positive towards the team, and
why would that
be? I don't understand why they think that they can get ahead of Lotus. Early in the season, they're like, oh yeah, but by midway through, we're gonna be on top of Lotus, and I just don't see that happening. Lotus actually, they're set to get out of the back markers and into the midfield soon if they keep the progress that they've been making.
Yeah, I mean, Lotus is definitely headed up. I mean, it's a team with a plan, with finance now as well. They have this big deal with General Electric coming through. I mean, Tony Fernandez is one hell of a business guy. You gotta hand it to the man. It's pretty impressive what the guy has managed to pull off. I'm a bit surprised they're not up, higher up there yet, because I mean, they have the Renault engine, they have the Red Bull gearbox. And you would just think they would already be there, I'm a bit disappointed that they still missed those couple of tenths, but it's definitely a team on the up. While as HRT, I think it's more a case of Virgin standing still rather than HRT really making strides. Because, Virgin is not going to develop this car anymore because they fired the guy that's going to develop the car, They fired Nick Wirth. So they basically have no one developing it.
Yeah, indeed. The CRT, it's technology with promise. I mean, it has a lot of applications, but you can't design the car solely based on that. It doesn't work that way. Yeah, the computers are great, but they can't simulate every little tiny detail, with on-track conditions. If the car was just standing still, maybe, yeah, but when you get to the track, you got bumps, and the wings flex as you go throughout the track, and a whole bunch of variables that a computer, taking a little bit to the grass there. You see a spectator you like?
Yeah, I just needed to cool the tires.
We'll go with it. But yeah, it's just like you can't design an entire car in a computer. I mean, you have to do some kind of wind tunnel program, and I give him props for trying.
Correlate your data somehow. you know, it's like you say, just on a computer you can't do it. You need to correlate it with either real life on track testing or wind tunnels. You know, it's just putting so much faith in your computer calculations. Like one digit is off, and your car is a bitch or a dog, but a bitch is a dog, I guess.
We can go with that, as you put a very nice move on Liuzzi there, giving him a little bit of a push, as Coulthard calls it.
Push.
Push, just a little bit to the edge, and now you're up to P12, and Hamilton's making a nice little Shirley train there behind, right in front of you.
Yeah, I ordered the team, radioed back to Rob and said, let Hamilton hold him up, let him hold him up.
Yeah, he's probably thinking there, oh, well, I got fucked here. Nobody to go by, although if you look at the map, it looks like he might put a move on the guy in front of him, so you never know.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we're in a space of a couple laps. We gained 7 positions, so you know it's not all over yet. And we passed someone in the pits. That's maybe Covey, because Vettel took the lead. Yep, that is Covey.
It's past Kovalainen behind Kobayashi. 2 names that I can almost never pronounce correctly.
Oh, that seems to be okay.
Worked it now, but normally I'm just like Kovo.
Just call him Heike.
Call him Heike and Kamui.
Heike and Kamui.
Got high hopes for
Kobayashi.
Kamui, though. I actually predict him to be P3 on a podium here at Valencia, so see how that pans out.
Yeah, you had a pretty bold prediction, but I don't think you're all, you know, that far off. I mean, yeah, it's still bold, and it's going to take one hell of a race from him. But like you said earlier, I mean, the Sauber is clearly softer on its tires than all the rest of the field. He's probably going to be able to eke out one less pit stop than the rest. And he's been going good there last year, but, you know, I put a Kamui move on Kamui right here. But he's been good there last year. I mean, he ran in P3 for most of the race, taking advantage of the safety car. And then those last laps were pretty crazy, where he passed Alonso and then Buemi in the final corner on the final lap. So, yeah, it's a possibility. If the race goes well, there's probably going to be a safety car for Valencia, which usually is. And you know, what do you think about the DRS here, in the sense of we had the Weber-Kovalainen incident, which was in a large part down the closing speeds. And we're going to have some crazy closing speeds difference, you know, here with the DRS. You think we're going to see another car flying this year?
Well, I would hope not, just because Weber did get extremely lucky that he was able to, you know, basically walk away from that. So, yeah, in the sense, you know, I hope not. But at the same time, I mean, I just, you don't know. You got the double DRS, you got a straight, which is of decent length, and so, you know, you get a faster car behind a slower car. You know, it doesn't matter if they're a lap down or if they're 1 position ahead of you. You can use DRS if you're within 1 second of any car. So, I don't know. Could it happen? I think it's more likely to happen now than it would have been last year. So, I don't know. I mean, I would hope not, but there's a chance.
Yeah, and here we're going to put a move on Barrichello. As you can see, this is my preferred overtaking spot. I do break it a tad early in here. And I'm in the 122s now, which was, my pole lap was 121, but the next one up was in the 122. So I'm really doing top mark qualifying pace here. So that explains why I'm catching to everybody here. Let me tell you, it's a good feeling to be driving Catalunya and to be actually catching AI cars. My God, it's just gratifying. It's so gratifying. It just feels so good. So we're in the points, point P9, and we still got quite some laps to go, and the gap to Vettel is dropping. If you noticed in the beginning when I came out, it was 22 seconds. Now it's only 16. So I'm going to have to pull back more than a second per lap to win, but who knows, you know. I am running quite fast, if I dare say so myself.
Well, you're getting there. Weber qualified about a half second behind you, I think it was, so you're definitely getting there on your pace. Chopping down times, except, you know, you go red in that sector, but we'll ignore that a little bit just because that kind of goes against the point I was trying to make. But yeah, no, so I think Sauber will be strong, and especially with all these, you know, the ban on the off throttle coming in Silverstone and the extreme mapping thing. I mean, it almost seems like for like a team like Sauber that was kind of just like tacked on to keep, you know, just to keep up with the big boys. I mean, it wasn't part of their entire package, you know, they didn't base their car on that like, you know, some of the other guys did.
Yeah, and here we give a little bump to the Ruddles Russian, but allows him to like keep him next to us. But yeah, I'm not having any of that. Yeah, it's true. I mean, like you say, for Sauber it was basically something. Well, we have to do it if we want to be competitive. But you know, it's not a concept they would base their car around or really depend on a lot, I think. I mean, everybody's going to lose out from it. But, yeah, teams like Sauber and also for the 107% rule, I think the backmarker teams will just get those couple tenths back, because they don't have as efficient and aggressive engine maps that the top teams do. So I think we'll see a lot less like D'Ambrosio. He didn't manage to make the 107% in Canada. I think that puts them more at ease as well, that ban.
Yeah. And for a team like Red Bull, though, I don't know so much, just because they seem to. You had a theory about how they base their cars, how Newey designed his cars. That it might do a lot more than even a lot of people are predicting right now.
Yeah, it's true. Like, Red Bull, Newey, they're always applauding him, and he's so great because he thinks of the whole concept. A car for him is not just aero, not just suspension, not just everything just blends together in this magnificent RB7. So he really thinks in concepts. He has a big picture. Well, now you're gonna take off one part of this concept, and a pretty important part in that, the whole diffuser concept and blowing the diffuser off throttle. And I think, that might really be a chink in Newey's army. You take out one element of the brilliant concept the guy's created. And, he's going to be quick enough on the ball to, find things that, you won't see Red Bull in the midfield all of a sudden. They'll still be up front. But I do think it'll take off the competitive edge they have, especially in Q3. Because on race pace, they were already pretty much on par with McLaren since Spain, basically. So yeah, I think this whole concept thing from Newey, you're gonna take away one element of the whole package. I think that really might hurt Red Bull in that aspect.
It would have been like going up to McLaren only halfway through last season saying, "Oh, and by the way, we're gonna take away your double diffuser and your F duct. Sorry."
Yeah, so. or think about what happened in was 2005 season or in 6 when Renault had the mass dampers and they got banned midway through the season. And all of a sudden, there was a Ferrari resurgence?
Something like that, yeah. Like, it would have been like in '08 if they just said, all those little winglets and things that they decided they were sticking on their cars. Like, I remember seeing a picture of, I think it was the BMW. Stuff everywhere. Imagine if they said, oh, by the way, you have to take all these off by Silverstone.
Yeah, it looked quite ridiculous, but... yeah, definitely. You take away little bits of their concept. I think it might impact Red Bull a lot. I think, but like I said, even the mass damper situation. Yeah, we saw Ferrari being more competitive with Renault, but the Renault was still up there. It's not going to become a crappy car all of a sudden. They're still going to be right up there. But I think it is going to take away the competitive advantage they have, especially in quali. But yeah, like I was saying, in the race, the McLaren looks pretty much on par with the Red Bull. In Spain, Lewis was pushing Vettel. In Monaco, Button could have easily, won it if he had if that red flag wouldn't have come up or if he hadn't pitted. Because, let's not forget, Vettel only got in that P1 because Button was on another strategy and decided to pit one more time. If Button hadn't pitted that one more time and the red flag came out, he would have went to the flag. And then Canada, of course, see Button catching Vettel. I think the McLaren on race pace is already there against the Red Bull.
Yeah, the problem is, though, is just that jump. And Vettel, on top of being a great qualifier, he just has amazing starts where he'll get, 3-4 seconds ahead of you in the first couple laps. And then after that, you're just trying to play catch-up while conserving your tires and fighting positions and battles around you. And so this lets him get even more ahead. But like you said, we're already seeing a McLaren and, to some lesser extent, Ferrari, the last couple races at least, being competitive in race pace. And so just that little bit off, will it make a huge difference to Red Bull? Maybe, maybe not. But when you only have a little bit of an advantage as it is during the race, yeah, I never know.
Well, as you're saying, Vettel indeed, at the starts, he just skates off, 2-3 seconds gap, and he starts managing it. But how much of this gap he's creating is due to because he dials up his engine map and goes through the extreme engine map for a couple of laps, create a gap, and then tone it back down, and he's back on the normal people's pace, So that's something Silverstone's going to be such an interesting Grand Prix. See how it's going to pan out. I'm really looking forward to that Grand Prix.
My question about that engine map, though, is the regulations say that you can't change it from qualifying to the race. So does that also mean now that you cannot change it within the race, that you're stuck on a single engine map? Like you're not going to have this fast standard cruise thing that you have in this game now?
Oh, by the way, we just took Weber, so we're up to P6 and behind our teammate. But I think the rule is, yeah, so you need the engine map you use in qualifying. So basically the engine mapping is being included in Parc Fermé. You can't change the engine map between quali and the race. So the engine map you're using in quali, you're going to be using it at the start of the race. Now, and what I understood as well is the only way you can really change the engine map from the extreme to more normal is by plugging in a laptop into the car, which, you know, they're not gonna do during a pit stop. It's gonna cost them way too much time on a pit stop. So I think it basically bans the extreme mappings. That's basically what it does without really saying it in those words. It just makes it totally impractical to use the extreme mappings. And from what I read from it, yes, drivers can adjust from the steering wheel the engine map slightly, but apparently, you know, they through the standard ECU, they won't allow these extreme changes anymore. So I think it's a very complex thing that, yeah, they're just basically banning the extreme mapping. You're just it's not gonna be practical to use it. I mean, they could still use it in Q3, but then they'd have to run their whole first stint on that extreme map, putting all the extra stress on the car, using the extra fuel and whatever, and then lose the time at a pit stop by plugging in a laptop. You know, I think it's just impractical to do it. So they basically just banned the extreme maps. That's how I read it.
Well, it's even if you're allowed to plug in a laptop, if you have to keep it the entire race, if it's not like, you know, the tires or anything like that, you'd have cars running out of fuel. So I kind of got the sense when they did this that this was them trying to say we're banning the extreme settings without saying it, which I don't really understand why, because, you know, they're so explicit about this off-throttle blown diffuser. You will not be allowed to do it over 10%. You know, why they would get wishy-washy on something like this, it almost seems like they're saying, okay, if you can find a different way of doing this that's not so fuel-intensive, go for it. But as it stands now, you can't do this. So I don't know why they're being ambiguous. Maybe I'm just looking into it too far. But
well, it is the FIA after all.
Oh,
you
true.
know? They're not really renowned for their logical thinking and explaining things to the public in a clear and, you know, concise manner.
True. I mean, Bahrain report anybody?
Mr. Gracia. Yeah, no, everything's fine. The dude probably spent like a couple days in the luxurious hotels in the company of a prince of Bahrain. And yeah, of course everything's gonna look fine if you're gonna get taken on tour by the royal family. I'm sure if I'm leaving to Nigeria and I get invited by, you know, the president, good luck, Jonathan. And he's going to show me around. I'm going to say, yeah, Nigeria is such a luxurious country. And, you know, everything's good and they're so rich and stuff. But there is a flip side to that coin.
Oh, exactly. And I mean, you know, spent the entire time in a hotel with people playing Call of Duty around them to mask the gunshots. So, you know, it's like, no, we have land tournament, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't know. I'm just glad that whole situation is done and dusted. But
yeah,
now there might be a whole new controversy brewing with the American Grand Prix. U.S. politics in action. Yeah.
Yeah, yesterday was a city council meeting, right? And I saw a little bit of it, and it was Wild Bubba giving his take on the Grand Prix. I'm not kidding. Guy introduced himself. Oh, most of you guys know me as Wild Bubba. But the guy actually had some good points, but I found it pretty hilarious.
I didn't actually catch that, but I'm just reading the contents of, you know, the lawsuit behind it. I'm like, yeah, you know, I don't, you know, it sucks that people are out of work. I mean, you know, in an ideal place, no one would be out of work, but if I lose my job, you know, I'm not going to go suing my employer's wife because she bought something, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, it's, you know, if they didn't stop all sporting events coming to Texas because the economic downturn. And, you know, I think a lot of it is politically motivated. One of the plaintiffs on there has been in the news before for making some wild things to get press.
Oh, really?
So,
I didn't know that.
It could be that, or, you know, I don't know. I think it's funny that, you know, we just spent an entire situation with Bahrain, and you're getting right on Lewis's ass, giving him a little taste of what it feels like.
On Lewis' ass, we're up to P6, and we're on Lewis's ass. I still got a good 6 laps, and Vettel's, I don't know where Vettel is. Let's check the last timing. Yeah, 15 seconds. Gonna be tough here. But who knows? Who knows? You know, I might get going for a little mover on Hamilton.
Take him on this corner, and penalty! Oh!
Yes, a fitting end to a drive to the front, don't you think?
Definitely.
Yeah,
the stewards wasted no time there. Penalty within half of a second. No deliberation, no anything. Just there you go.
Yeah, I was so gutted. I mean, imagine you've been racing 60 laps, which is a good hour and a half, and then have your race ruined by that.
My fist would go through the monitor.
Yeah, and then I got a bit wide there. That wasn't too great either.
No, but before
you can see how that messes with your concentration.
Oh no, definitely. It happens to me all the time. I'll be racing online, and then one little mistake, and then my entire rhythm is screwed, and I just can't get a good lap in, and then I'm bitching, and then that goes downhill.
Yeah, my heart just sank, with that penalty. I was like, oh fuck, 'cause I think I could have gotten a podium here. Seriously, I think I could have gotten P3.
Well, you're on pace to pass Hamilton, so you would have been P5. P4 wouldn't have been far behind there, and then I don't know where P3 is timing-wise, but yeah, it could have happened.
I think I could have done it, but that's how it goes. Still some good racing, of course.
Indeed. But back to what I was saying about the U.S. It was funny though how everyone basically besides the FIA, when the whole Bahrain thing was going on, it's like we need to separate politics and sport. Mm-hmm. And they're basically just saying, well, no, fuck that. Let's do that for the American Grand Prix. Because that's really what it is. It's a political argument wrapped in a sports event. And so I'm like, really?
Yeah, especially if you see the against, and it's so typical and so populist. And they're always bringing in educators because there's going to be apparently budget cuts in education budget for the state of Texas, or Austin at least. And they're always linking the one with the other, and it's like, it's not because F1's gonna get that money that the educators would get any less or any more, And then the other part I have against it is they're characterizing it as if it's just the F1 race. I mean, they're building a whole complex there, like conference facilities and training rooms and whatever, and there's going to be MotoGP, and you can bet your ass there's going to be other racing series there, it's going to be annually, there's going to be events there. But, it's so getting polarized as if, our poor kids are not going to have teachers, which is completely beside the question. If you want your teachers to have more money, well, then ask the state for more money for education. It's not coming out of the same budget. The budget they're taking it out of is for, like, major sporting events budget or something.
Yeah, it's a sporting trust fund something. And, whether, and then you can get into the political argument of, is it right to spend the money? I mean, that's something, and for the sake of your comment section, I don't want to touch. But, it's the point of, $25 million out of an entire state budget is nothing. That would just be like saying, $1 billion sounds like a lot until you compare it to the United States budget, and then it's nothing.
Exactly, yeah.
And the fact that you're right, I was thinking about it, I'm like, if you let's just say $100 for everyone, right, who comes in. It's way underestimated, but let's just go with it. You have 100,000 people who are coming to Austin who probably wouldn't have gone to Austin in the first place. So you're already talking, if you just take $100, then you got $10 million coming into Austin. The number is going to be way above that just for Formula One. You're not counting MotoGP. You're not counting potential IROC or not IROC, kart and Indy and all them, and all the other. GP2 could come there. You could have a Le Mans race around there.
Yeah, NASCAR or whatever.
Well, NASCAR doesn't really turn right, so.
They don't they do a couple of road courses? And here we are saving the much undeserved penalty, robbing me of a possible podium. But it's gonna be an interesting last couple laps in any case.
Well, you're about to be passed by Kovalainen again.
Yeah, Kovi's having a good result, that's for sure. First points finish for Lotus.
If only.
Yeah, the Austin Grand Prix, it's like you say, there's going to be so much more events. And, they're also building, it's going to be doubling as, like, a conference center and shit like that. And just think about, just right now, all the local constructors, all the people they're employing now, building that track and the facilities. That's a pretty big upturn for, a major project like that. That's how Hitler did it, He built the Autobahns.
Yeah, comparing
See, that's a good example.
Comparing U.S. politicians to Hitler, it's been done before. Don't worry. You're treading on familiar ground, but again, I won't go there. But yeah, so I'm sure that if, that either the judge is going to dismiss it, or if not, it's going to become this huge battle between these teachers and the construction workers as you're making a move on Petrov, giving the rudderless Russian the little bump.
Yeah, I told him to go back to whatever they drive in the Dukes of Hazzard. Or in a Lada. The guy did start his career racing Ladas.
Yeah, I can imagine a Lada in Dukes of Hazzard would be a lot less exciting and a lot more fixing. But
I actually used to have a Lada Niva, which is these old school type Jeeps.
For you.
They were cool, man. Those Jeeps were fucking cool. Lada Nivas. Check them out. It was nice. I was driving around in the forest with that shit. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I probably couldn't drive in the forest with my car, but I'll stick with it. Thanks.
Yeah, he is sponsored by Lada, of course. Like, what is that car? Finally, is it a Renault? Is it a Lotus?
It's a Lotus Renault Lada thing.
Yeah, I think
sponsored
nobody
by
really
Ferrari
knows.
Somehow. Watch, I don't know.
Nobody even seems to know who owns the team. Yeah, it's G9 Capital, but even Joe Sayward, who's like the most knowledgeable journalist I've ever seen, he's got a great blog. Make sure to check out Joe Sayward. And even he doesn't seem to know who really is the end owner of Lotus Renault GP, as they like to call them now. And the team is such a mess. I mean, they lost the court case against Team Lotus. I mean, yeah, they say they won, but you don't appeal a court decision which you claim you won. So I think it's pretty clear who won that court case,
Yeah.
And
like I said, I'm not going to comment on that just because I may be working for one of those teams, and I don't want to. This will be brought up in the interview somehow. It's like, on this date, 2011, given a nice little snap there.
Yeah, I was right on Alguersuari's ass and just getting a bit too trigger happy here, and that cost me a little bit. So that's the final 2 laps down in P9, unfortunately. And I just realized I didn't check who had the prediction right, but I will rectify this right away.
And you got the little fuel light blinking, so it's I'm pretty sure you're going to make it to the end on fuel, but you never know. Could get a little exciting towards the end.
If you remember my recent ARL League race, I did run out of fuel in the final corners of the race while in the lead, but luckily held on to win it. So I have had my fair share of fuel trouble on Catalunya.
I seem to remember you having trouble in Valencia as well. Was it your first career race? The first season you ran out of fuel?
No, that was a league race as well. I didn't really have trouble. I actually won the race from P3 20 seconds behind us. We got into the final lap because the 2 guys in front ran out of fuel.
Oh, that I remember that.
Yep, that was a pretty unexpected win. But since the AI never run out of fuel, yeah.
Yeah, the AI seem to be running under the FIA's desired model of running your cars off of sunshine and buttercups. So, of course, they never run out of fuel and they never get a penalty. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just checking my Twitter here to see who got the right prediction. I'm pretty sure someone got it right. Well, there's one who gave the range, but, that doesn't count.
Yeah, somewhere between P1 and P24.
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, not much happening on track while you're away. Pretty clinical end of the race, it seems. Maybe you're going to catch Alguersuari or Kovalainen even.
Yeah, Covey. I mean, I am pretty fast in the final sector. I mean, look at my best time, 1:21.695. That's only 3/10 off my quality pole lap. And here we have the red light, so you can see me starting the short shift. I don't want to run out of fuel, and so I kind of give up the chase on Covey.
There goes Vettel, surely giving everyone the finger, and not that finger, people.
It is fitting that he won it.
Well, yeah, start off near the top, and then work his way back down the field, and then work his way back up. I mean, he probably did more work in this race than he has in the real season put together. Yeah,
I was a bit surprised that he was caught up so fast after everybody pitted, and all of a sudden he came up in 3 behind Kovalainen before I did my pit stop. So there we are, no win. dismal 8th, which could have been, well, 4th. Third would have been maybe a stretch, but I think without the penalty, the 4th would have definitely been in it. Let's look. Yeah, Hamilton's in 4th. So, yeah, definitely would have been P4. P3 would have been maybe a stretch because he's 10 seconds up. Schumi on the podium. How about that?
Very interesting. Should have been Canada, but that's another topic for another day. The Aussie Bastard getting into 5th place, and there we go. Rest of the field, pretty much as expected. Force India down in the backfield. That's a bit of a surprise, but beyond that, shook out like you expected.
Yep, and here, let's give us a shout out to @Doyago Dominic on Doyago on Twitter. He said I finished 8th, so major props to him. He was the only one to judge it correctly. Someone else said Y Ninja 90 said 7th. You said 4th.
Yeah, I gave your driving ability too much credit.
Been right. Well, without the penalty, you probably would have been right. 4th. Chris, he's gonna get an angry tweet because he only predicted me in 12th. I mean, seriously, man.
Chris, what the hell?
Rasman 43 said 6th. And who was the guy who said 7th or 9th? Darby, he's a good guy. He said 4th as well. So I think without the penalty, it would have been 4th. Zorada said 4th. Oh, and our good Russian friend Journey. Yeah, I take back everything I said about Petrov. He's the best driver ever since Senna. He said I was going to be 2nd.
No, fuck Senna. He's going to be number 1. Petrov is going to go down in history as the best F1 driver ever.
So, yeah, forget everything I said about Petrov. You're predicting me in P2. That just makes Petrov the best driver since Senna. And
you do know that from part 1, he's already turned off the video and unsubscribed to you, right?
He's probably never going to watch anything again.
Probably.
He's quit following me by this time. Oh, and it's Bulletproof who gave the range 7th to 9th. So I guess we give him a little bit of props for that.
Half a
but
prop,
yeah,
maybe.
It's Doyago. Dominic is the big winner.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I had a blast doing this. I mean, it was a long race. Like I said, I was sweating my ass off at the end of it. But casting with you was nice. Really enjoyed it.
It was fun. It was fun. Got to do some mocking of certain drivers who we love now, who we absolutely adore. And it was a blast.
Best ever!
Yeah, best ever. Yes, my face is having a hard time saying this, but yeah. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and yeah, keep on keeping on. These vids are a lot of fun. Help me on some of my lines, even though I'm on the Xbox and I'm unmodded and shit. Season 1 was definitely a big help to my racing. So yeah,
that's part of the fun in it, you know, just showing what can be done in the game, because you see so often, oh man, game's impossible, and the AI is too strong, and I'm like, oh, they're not. I won the WDC in a Lotus. Then sometimes that's the worst part. People don't even believe it when I have every race on video proving it, but they still don't believe it. They're like, you must be cheating, you know, you don't have the sims on, or you have a grip mod. Just annoying. But
it's like those people that are saying that the diffuser ban and all this stuff is to help Ferrari. It's like, no, it's not. Ferrari are using it just as much as everyone else.
Exactly.
You know, conspiracy theorists abound.
For sure. Well, yeah, it's been a blast producing. I think it was about like 50-some vids already now. Like I said, expect quite a lull in August, September. I'll be working out how I can get vids out to you guys from Nigeria. And I must be one of the only YouTubers posting vids from Nigeria. I'm pretty sure about that.
I think especially they have a whole channel
gaming
devoted.
Vids. At least gaming vids.
Gaming vids, yes. But I think they... let's see. Let's look under here. No, actually, no, they don't. Netherlands, New Zealand. So, yeah, hey, you could get Nigeria on the YouTube map.
Yep, getting Nigeria on the map. So like I said, expect a bit of a lull. I might set something up with good old Matt here to still get vids out to you guys, but I'm not sure. But yeah, just closing this up, I want to thank you a lot, Matt, for joining me in the insanity and putting up with my indecent descent into drunkenness, because I did knock down a couple of beers and some rum while doing this, completely unnoticed.
Well, I couldn't tell. You obviously have a lot of experience doing that, because your commentary did not skip a beat, and... thank you for inviting me to do this. It was a lot of fun. Have to do it again sometime.
Yeah, for sure. Next time out of Africa. So I want to thank everyone for watching. Again, thanks to Matt for joining me. And, make sure if you haven't yet, I don't know what more I can do, but click the subscribe button if you haven't yet and sat through all this hour and a half madness. And yeah, thanks for watching. Stay tuned and peace out.
Catch you guys later.